Okay, so you're asking about grabbing and extruding and so on. If I start with this cube, just grab the face. If I extrude E to extrude, that face extruded 90 degrees to its face. So it doesn't matter if I look at it like this, E comes up. If I look at it like this, E, it goes up, because it's 90 degrees. That part doesn't change. What my viewing perspective, whether it's perspective view or orthographic view, that doesn't change. In terms of grabbing, that's quite a different story. So if I grab this, I can move it any direction I like. So left and right's easy, up and down's easy. Towards me, that's harder, and away from me, that's much harder. If I right click and ignore that, if I wanted it to go that way, off into the green distance, I can pull it that way because that's the way I'm looking. But I can't pull it towards myself now. It's just not possible. I can go left and right and I can go up and down, but I can't pull it towards myself. So your grabbing really matters what view you're on. So if I'm on orthographic view, because I just pushed one of these up here, I can grab and I can go in the x-axis only and the y, or z, sorry, the blue axis only. I cannot go in the y because that's straight at me. So what I recommend you start to do is to gain better control, I go G for grab, but I'll then push one of the axes letters. Like if I push Y, you'll notice now there's a green line has appeared. So that'll constrain, the word is constrain, the movement of that part to only the green axis. And if I confirm it with a click, there it is. If I go G again and then push X, you'll notice the X-axis line is there. I'm only able to pull it in the X-axis. If I do the same thing again, G, Z, I can only move that up and down now. And I'll delete that entire section. So maybe if I get rid of all of those, delete those vertices, you'll see there's an open top face there. Fill that in again. Some other stuff, some skills that I think you probably need to work on. I think you possibly need to understand about grabbing and some of the other methods of grabbing. So there I just, I'll do it again, Control R, I thought I had screencast keys on, it comes off sometimes. If I do Control R and then hover over there, scroll up on my mouse wheel or down, I get extra vertices. So maybe I'm trying to bend something. What I might do is I might get maybe one singular face, or excuse me. So I've got a whole bunch of squares here, so I'll just get one of them. If I just grab that, you'll notice it only affects the area directly around it. If I turn on proportional editing, there's a button right up the top here, or I could push the letter O, that just toggles it on and off. So with it on, and I push G to grab, you'll notice a circle. Now that circle can be made larger or smaller. So at about that size I pull, you'll notice it's affecting the area, that's the size of the circle. Make the circle bigger, it gets bigger. So doing curves, that could be really, really handy. If I make it super small, it'll only be like I don't have proportional editing on at all. But if I pull that out and then look from the side, you'll see it's kind of round. And that's because the fall off was a smooth fall off. If I was to grab this one and put on, instead of a smooth, maybe I went sharp, and I'll go G. Yeah, it doesn't really do it justice without some more loop cuts down there. If I grab that in the y-axis, you'll notice that it's more curved in a different direction, kind of almost a parabola in that shape there, pointier as opposed to round and smooth over the top of there. There's heaps of these. You'll just have to change them based on what you want. So you'll see that constant one. I grab on this side and go G. There's a constant amount, so that could be pretty handy. It's up to you. I've never really used that particular one. But yeah, you're asking about should you be extruding or grabbing. That to me suggests that you haven't got good control over the movement. So E for extrude will only come out at 90 degrees. But then when you go to move this, GX, I can move it sideways. GY, I can move that at a certain, that's front and back, I think. Pretty sure that's the way. So if I'm looking through the X-axis, that's right orthographic. If I click it again, left. If I look from through the green axis, that's front and back. And the blue, that's top or bottom. So try to make your model lay out that way and memorize those kinds of things. It'll help a great deal. If I was to open a recent project to show you some stuff. So this is a boat that I've been working on. I am continuously grabbing things and just going GY, move it forward, GY, move it backwards. So for placement of wheels and stuff like that and moving things up and down, they were all necessary. So that's it under material view. Wait for it to load, it takes a long time. Gets quite laggy with that number of items. Yeah, really jumpy. I'll get out of material view. I just had all of the parts back in the scene. I haven't done the wheels inside yet. If you go into rendered view, go even more painfully slow. You can see I've got glass and so on in there. I haven't finished attaching the anchor or anything yet. Here is a sword from someone else. So I think that's where it came in there. I must have moved it. So this is where I got up to. They were asking me questions about it, and so I gave them some feedback. I'll send you a link to that video as well. I showed them how to add metals and do some bevel cuts on the edge, but you'll see that in the video I show you. To get that really good looking shine, you have to have an HDR, which is built in this material preview, but if you go to rendered view, it'll look really bad because there's just nothing to reflect apart from boring blue sky. And I made those perfectly smooth, so they're just going to look pretty dull. That's got a curve on it down there on the pommel, so you can see it catching the light, but under material preview you've got clouds and trees and stuff to sort of see as nice reflections. Yeah, I think you really need to just practice moving and grabbing, and you need to be looking at stuff from the correct view. So yeah, just to recap, grab things, extrude, and then grab, but don't grab it from a strange user perspective. And if you are and you just can't see something, use constraints, so GX or GY or GZ. Other things that you'll need to do might be to rotate, so if I went R and Y, I'll rotate that around, and then I can extrude. But you'll notice as I rotated that, it's changed its shape this way, so if I want to scale that smaller, I'd want to scale it smaller but not in the Y-axis, so I'll go S for scale, and I'll go Shift Y. So you'll notice there's a red and a blue axis there, so I can make that smaller, but it won't go smaller in the left and right, or the green axis. Okay, so I'm only eyeballing it there, but those are things to consider if you're trying to extrude and rotate. Some other methods that people use, I've still got that face highlighted. I think if I control right click, it will extrude and sort of rotate and get it all ready for me. So then I get that one and delete that face, delete that face, go to edge select, option click, that got the whole face there, shift option click, got that face there, and I'm going to bridge edge loop. So if I go function F3, and then that's to bring up the search, bridge edge loops, and then hey presto, I've made the most amazing ring in the world. Of course you'd never do that, you just build a circle, but you've got to master movement of these pieces. That's always extrude, always going to come out 90 degrees, but if I wanted to rotate that, then I have to extrude and then rotate, and extrude and rotate, and then if it's not quite right, grab, extrude, and adjust things. Extrude E, rotate R, and that depends what view you're looking at. So if I'm looking from the side, it's going to rotate around that way. Scale, that just goes in every axis unless you tell it not to. So if I go scale like this, it's getting bigger top and bottom, it's getting scale left and right as well. But if I don't want it to get any shorter, I'll go scale shift Z, so it'll get both, it'll scale on the red and the green axis. But in this case, since there's not much going on in the green axis, yes, Z, it's not really going to change a lot in the those other axes. If I go scale Z only, it's going to get taller. So I think it's just general skills. You extruding or grabbing or rotating, it's practice, but extruding will only ever come out at 90 degrees, so you'll have to extrude and then grab, maybe scale. Other methods that you might find particularly useful, if you look from the top, maybe if I start a brand new file, file, new, general, don't save. I'm going to merge all of those to one vertice, option M, and then merge it at center. So all of those corner points are now sitting there at the origin, and so there, if I was to, let's pretend I had a picture below, I could trace around it. I could move that, I could go G to grab, there's my vertice, I'll pop it there, and then I could go around and E to extrude, and you'll hopefully see this. E to extrude, maybe come across, E to extrude, 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 pop that there near to each other, and I might merge those. Maybe I could merge them, or I could have maybe filled those. So if I delete that one, delete the vertice, I mean, highlight those two, push F, now that's filled. When I keep pushing F, that's probably smart enough to fill up to there. If it's not, then you just have to highlight the whole lot. And then I've got a try at the end. You don't like tries, tries are bad. And then mirror, because the origin point's right there, it's pretty handy. Turn on clipping, grab all of those, GX, and pull them across. And if I grab these ones, just those ones, and I go grab, and I can not move it left because clipping's on. If I turn that off, then I could grab and move those anywhere. Get that one there too. If I go G, Z, it can only go up. But if I accidentally don't do that, then it could go in the Y-axis as well, and we don't want that. Keep clipping on though. So that's kind of the point, or the tip of a sword. But I wouldn't put tons of extra geometry where you don't need it, and I can just E. With a plane, can go in just about any direction, but I'm going to lock it in with the Y direction. So there's the tip of my boring looking sword, and I could possibly even give it an extra dimension. So there you go, there's a tip of a sword. Can even make it look shiny too, I suppose. So the base material can go slightly grey, can be 100% metallic. Kind of material preview, and it looks slightly shiny, but the reason it's not super shiny is because its roughness is quite high. Turn that roughness down and it looks almost mirror-like. That's quite unreal, and there's no way you could get a perfectly I don't know, looks like you've drawn it with a pencil kind of line down there. It's exactly on an angle, but if you bevel those, that would be more accurate. So if I took that edge and that one, I'm holding down Option and Shift and getting all of those. I'm going to ignore those two. Actually, no, I won't ignore them. I will dissolve them. X, dissolve edge, X, dissolve edge. I'll just pop that into solid view so you can see a bit better. But that one, and that one, now highlighted. I might bevel those because that would be more realistic to a sword. I think it's Command B for bevel. You'll see the dotted line. If I move away, it does it. If I move it towards, it doesn't. So I move all away slightly. When I scroll on my mouse wheel, it's created a bevel along there. I thought it would have got it along that middle part, but it hasn't. Probably due to the mirror. Let's try that again. Command B. Yeah, it doesn't want to pull away because of clipping. So if we go back to that, turn clipping off. Let's put that mirror modifier back on. Clipping off. Now if I do Command B, towards nothing, away something. Yeah, that's interesting. Didn't expect that. Yeah, can't do a bevel on a what really is a nothing edge. I think you have to loop cut that, or apply it so now it's full 3D shape. And then Command B, towards is nothing, away gets you something. And you can scroll on your mouse wheel to get different numbers. So with all of those extra lines, I think that's more rounded, like you'd actually create in a real sword. And if you want to make that more pointy, I think you probably want one extra part. So I haven't changed anything from this bevel, so I can come up to here and I'll do one more division. There we go. So I'll take that front point there and oops, I want that one. And if I turn proportional editing on, I'll look from the top though so I don't pull it in a crazy direction. If I have proportional editing on, push O, G, scroll down, and I'm going to push Y so it only goes on the Y axis. So you see if I pull that, it's not going quite the shape I want. So I'll change to sharp, G, Y. Then that gets me the sharpness that I'm after. That seems to fix that part. And then if you were to look at that under material preview, give it a chance. Come on, material preview. Base color, subsurface metallic. And roughness, turn that right down. Then what you'll see is the metal's got little parts in there, so you'll add in maybe a subdivision surface, crank the viewport up a little bit. It's got some weird rounding there, so to fix that, need some loop cuts. You'll either loop cut, Control R with a loop cut and pull that out here. It's not my favourite way of doing it, but you'll see that's one way. Loop cut off the edge. The other way would be option click, grab all these parts around here and push in, and increase this mean crease out here, and it pops it out. So I would make the sword not 1, because that's an impossible shape, 2, because your sword needs a little bit of an edge on it. I'll do something like that. But you'll see this edge loop over here has severely affected that area. Those are various different techniques that you can do to make a sword look a bit more realistic, and you'll see it's rounded across there. But yeah, you'll need an HDR, otherwise it'll be boring. If I go to rendered view and no HDR, you've got a grey world. So guess what? The mirror looks like a grey world. I hope that helps.